Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lane One Making Waves. This week on the podcast, we have founder of SwimStrong Dryland, Eric Hudson. Now, within this conversation, we touch on how SwimStrong Dryland got its start, the heartbeat behind the organization, and how Eric and his team are helping swimmers of all levels, from age group swimmers and teams to full collegiate teams to our national level athletes. They cover so much more than swim specific dryland training. They put on national level meets that are really moving the sport of swimming forward. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy. So just wanted to take another second to thank Eric for joining me today. I know you have such a busy schedule. You work with so many athletes, so many teams. So kind of thanks for setting aside the time to, help with our discussion.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited to get to talk with you more, Summer. And I appreciate what you do in the swimming community and with your podcast and all the work that you do behind the scenes that people don't even realize that you do to make our sport better. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Just to kind of, get us started, you've spent a lot of years in the fitness world, but swimming
Mhm.
has always been a part of the picture. Can you take us back to how you first got involved with the sport and why swimmers became your focus?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people don't realize this, but I didn't swim growing up.
Really?
No, I got into swimming post college, and I played all the land sports.
Land
So the
sport. No.
so the first time that someone used the word dryland for me, I actually didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, what word is that? What does that mean? And so just really funny looking back on that. But how I got into it was I was working with um, all different types of companies in the fitness industry and working with different athletes, but none of them were swimmers. And so this was back right after I graduated college about 15 years ago. And um, when I was working at a local YMCA, a swim coach there wanted to start a dryland program and got a hold of my resume in the system. I was working with some tennis athletes there and doing some lifeguarding and some different things with their organization while working at other gyms in the area too. And he just said, he called me out of the blue and asked me if I wanted to start a dryland program. And because of my background in exercise science, that was what I studied at Purdue University. Um, and I said, sure, I'd be willing to give it a try. And I said, I know absolutely nothing about the sport at the moment. I said, but I love working with athletes. I love mentoring and making an impact. And sport, I'm a very competitive person, like really competitive. And so being in the sporting arena was exciting to me. Working with more athletes. But if I'm being completely honest, when he asked me that at the time, I thought, I'll do this for a year or two and it'll be a
Yeah.
stepping stone to something else. Like I'm not gonna work with like I'm not gonna be in the swimming world. I didn't even have like any type of thought or passion around that at the time. And I'll never forget going on deck for the first time and being absolutely blown away at the work that swim athletes put in.
Yeah.
I actually came in my first interview in a suit and tie on the pool deck that was about 100 degrees, and I realized I was not dressed appropriately for for
Yeah.
that interview. But that is a fun memory that I'll never forget too, sweating out of my
Different
suit.
type
But
of suit.
yeah, different type of suit. There's the yep, exactly. So and he actually had me lead some dry land like just as to get to know the kids and he could kind of see me in action that day too. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I'm in the suit. I'm on the pool deck leading some dry land. But anyway, the short of it is I fell in love with the sport. I really fell in love with it, I would say about a month in when I went to my first swim meet because I recognized that hundredths of a second can make the difference between A final, B final, C final, making your first state, national, junior national, futures, Olympic trials, whatever it is, Olympic team. It can be hundredths of a second.
Yeah.
And when I was never a part of any sports like that. I was involved in team sports that it was like
Yep.
you win or you lose and you compete as a team. Um, and when you're trying out for a team, people judge your talent based off of your skill set, and you either make the team or you don't. But it was never so objective as here's the time. You either get it or you don't. And so that was really exciting to me because I've always been a very competitive but process driven person where I see 10,000 different ways in which you can drop that extra hundredth of a second
Mhm.
throughout the season whether it be through strength training, mobility, work, whether it be you're getting better sleep, hydration, nutrition, mental skills, being a
Yeah.
better leader, whatever. There's so many things that you can always do to get better. Like you're never stuck. And that's where I would say like I started to become like really addicted to the sport. Because I was like, this is so cool. I love it. And then just the uniqueness of it. I remember that first like practice that I saw being like, these kids do not move like I did as an like there's a very different movement pattern required, different biomechanics of this sport compared to anything I had done. And so I just not only did I start like studying and researching and learning and developing a program for every age group, but I coached on deck for every age group too. I didn't want to be just like reading books and putting programs together. I wanted to be in the sport and really understand what the kids were doing day to day, how they felt, what they were experiencing. So I coached every single age group on deck every day while developing the dryland program. And so that was the start of it. And just like as more and more time went on, it was just what I absolutely loved. And it was never full time because there's not a whole lot of money in the swimming world,
Yeah.
and dryland coaches especially make
Yeah.
even less than like swim coaches. So I was always doing another full-time job while doing the dryland coaching. And it wasn't until 6 years of doing that I decided I want to take a risk. Like this is what I love. I feel like swimming always gets the short end of the stick
Yeah.
compared to other sports. And even like to date, you won't find any other dryland programs out there that don't also work with another population. Like they'll work with swim athletes, but they also specialize in water polo, and they also specialize in basketball, and they also have a baseball branch of their program, or they work with general population adults or whatever it is. And so then swimming gets 20% of
Yeah.
the attention. It's like
Yeah.
any and other sports like you have football specialists and basketball trainers who they just do skill work with basketball players or strength and conditioning. And I wanted that for so I wanted to be the best at what we do and provide the best programming for swim athletes, and for that to be the only focus, 100% attention. And so I just remember I was a personal training manager at the time at a big gym where I was doing really good in my career, but I just wasn't like happy. I wanted to
Yeah.
work with swim athletes all the time. And I talked to my wife about the idea I had for SwimStrong. I wrote it on a napkin, or no, it was a note in my phone. I wrote it on a note in my phone flying back home from a trip we took over New Year's 2017 going into 2018. And it was SwimStrong Dryland. And I took note of like 5 or 6 different components of what it could be. And I talked to my wife and I was like, what do you think if I just leave my job and we do this? And she was in school at the time too. She was in
Okay.
medical school, so she's making no money. And
Yeah.
so it's a scary idea, right? To leave like the comfort of a good professional career. And she said, I think we should go for it. I think you should do it. And that was really all I needed.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And so that was this is year 9 now of SwimStrong, but I've been doing dryland for 15 years. And now um, I it's just so funny looking back because when I first started, it was never even on my radar, and now I can't see myself doing anything else because I absolutely love this, and it's the only thing that I want to do. So
Yeah.
long-winded story, but that's how it got started.
No, it's incredible, hearing that story and hearing how you kind of found swimming even after college. I mean, I know so many of our professionals get involved in the sport. I mean, I myself as an athlete, a lot of our professionals now in the space of swimming swam themselves. So it's really cool to hear your perspective, how you found swimming. But there's so much to learn about swimming. So like tackling it,
Mhm.
post college is just crazy to me because there are so many, terms that we use internally that you say to anyone else and they'd be like, "What is that? Like, isn't all land dry? Like, what do you mean dry land?"
Yeah.
And so like kudos to you for, picking all of that up in such a short period of time because swimming lingo is crazy.
That's
But
very
also
true.
hearing your story about swimming itself, I mean, it brings different perspectives to me and how special our sport truly is because
Yeah.
we do have that individual element where every swimmer is unique. We all need different things. You could be in the same family. I know I needed different things than my brother, different
Hmm.
things than my sister, but we also have that team environment where everyone is cheering for each other, everyone is motivating and uplifting each other, and we're all trying to find those hundredths and tenths of a second. But
Hmm.
it is, as I said, individualized, so it is up to you to kind
Yeah.
of find those things and work hard, but knowing that your community is behind you. And so having yourself now in this space and being part of the community, I mean, I spoke about it before, we started this conversation, how uplifting SwimStrong Dryland is and how far it's come in such a short amount of time. I mean, you go anywhere and now you mention it and people instantly know what you're talking about, or they're an athlete themselves. And I think it's only helped, amplify and build swimming up to what it is today. What did those years teach you about what swimmers really need on the pool deck? I know
Hmm.
it's going to be different for every swimmer, but how did you kind of
Yeah.
pick up on those individualized needs?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I appreciate all the kind words. And honestly, it's just a blessing to get to do something you love and be able to make an impact. And
Yeah,
like we were talking before the podcast started here, it's like to be honest, all of what SwimStrong has become doesn't mean anything to me except for the people,
yeah,
like the impact on people and the relationships you build. And I never actually even wanted to own a business. I just did it because it was something I was passionate about, and I had no idea what I was doing in terms of
hmm
running a business. And still, I'm learning all the time.
yeah,
But for me, what's never changed is that it's always about the people, and it makes it so much more fun. And the team that I get to work with. We do have a lot of people who swam for their whole
yeah,
life. Like our head programmer, Brian, I call him the guru because he's just an absolute mastermind. And we have all kinds of people who are lifelong swimmers and then people who came from outside the sport. And this is now their 100% focus. And there's so many unique perspectives and learning from other people in the sport and other companies. And it's a special community. Like the swim community is super tight knit. And that's
yeah,
another thing that really attracted me to this sport was that you when you start going to national meets and traveling around the country, like you start to realize that everybody kind of knows everybody
yeah,
eventually the longer you're in the sport. And so that's pretty special. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I love it. But in terms of just like learning, I, I I learned from a ton of people and had mentors like along the way, and then just a lot of hands-on trial and error. Swimmers, like what's super unique about swim athletes, people use. So we do swim specific dryland training, but
yeah,
people use that word swim specific all the time. And what we mean when we say it is training that is specific to the needs of a swim athlete. It's not that you go on land and you mimic the butterfly stroke on land with bands or something, or do some weird looking thing that looks like swimming on land. You see these quirky videos that it's like, that's a total, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's everything's always a total waste of time, but kind of most of that is.
yeah,
And you swim thousands and thousands of yards already. What swim specific really means is specific to the needs of a swim athlete. So there's general characteristics that are true across all sports, like general athleticism that needs to be built for every athlete. But swimming requires some extremely unique movement patterns. So if you're going to ask an 8-year-old to do butterfly, for example, I remember
yeah,
watching like my first 8 and under age group meet, and I was like, what is happening in the
yep,
water? And I was like, okay, well, so there used to be for a long time, I think for the most part, people are realizing that the science doesn't support this now. But for a long time, people were afraid to train young athletes because
yeah,
they're like, oh, we're going to hurt them. We're going to stunt their growth, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yeah, only if you train dumb. Like if you
yeah,
do something that they're not ready for and they have bad technique, of course. But if you train smart, it's actually going to foster and promote growth and help them develop properly. But also, you watch an 8-year-old do butterfly and maybe it doesn't look pretty all the time. From the dryland perspective, my mind went to how can we help them execute this movement that their coaches are asking them to do at a much higher level so they don't get hurt doing
yeah,
whatever they're doing in the water
whatever they're
right
trying
there.
to do.
So there's some really swim specific thought processes that go into the training for every age group. But people really confuse that word swim specific and think, oh, you're doing all like
Yeah,
you're doing everything so specialized at a young age. No, no, no. What we're doing is doing training that makes sense for what is required in this sport. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So I would say, like from a practical perspective, that's the way that I've always approached things. Is looking at what movement is required, what is the coach trying to accomplish, how do we help get them there, whether from a stability, mobility, strength, power, speed, like whatever performance aspect we need to focus on to help them get just a little bit better at doing this safely and efficiently so they can get from one end of the pool to the other fast and without getting hurt.
Yeah.
So so that's really like kind of the big picture mindset. And then there's just so many things you learn along the way as you're doing that, and every individual is unique. And so every even within an age group, people have different needs, and it's important to be able to adjust and adapt. And that's why with our business, we have really, really strong communication with our coaches so that if Johnny over there has some sort of limitation, that we can say, hey, instead of this exercise, he's going to do this exercise every time this comes up. So, and when you get to the collegiate level, then it's really specific when you
Yeah.
work with the sprint, mid distance, distance groups. And so with some of the top tier schools that we work with, we have to be on point with really personalizing every single group and even every single athlete who has specific needs to make sure that we're giving them the best program possible and lining that all up with what they're doing in the water and what their
Yeah.
season plan is. So it's fun. Like it's a coaching and programming and
It's a never
um,
ending puzzle.
yeah, it is. It is. And it's so fun. It's so unique. Everybody's so different. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen this too, like with swimming too. There's certainly foundational things that apply for every stroke, but a lot of different stroke techniques work really well for world-class swimmers because of
Yeah.
the way their body is designed. And so it's same thing in the water. Like you can coach and have foundational principles, but you also have to be flexible and realize, well, actually, for this swimmer, this might work a little better, even though it might not work for somebody else.
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
I
I
find that
think,
fun.
I mean, even, within families, like I always bring up my personal experiences, but my sister and my brother were both very like lean and lanky swimmers. So when they swam their 1,000, they took maybe 50% of the strokes that I did because I was a little bit on the shorter end. And so my arm speed and my tempo was, so much higher than theirs. All that to say, like my sister and my times were very comparable,
Mm,
but she took 50% less strokes, and I was always jealous of that. But it's also, that specific movement worked for me, whereas if
hmm
she tried to spin her arms, it wouldn't necessarily work the same.
No, that makes perfect sense. And that's the cool thing about our sport. Like there is not one way to do it. What's
Yeah.
important is understanding how to maximize the specific person, group, team, whatever that you're working with, and where they're at right now. And so I think that makes it really fun though.
It is. It's so fun, especially, I grew up a little bit ago. But my club team, we didn't really do dry land. So we had just kind of an ab routine that we would run through,
Hmm
twice a week, 3 times a week. We had some strength training, but it wasn't really, structured. And
Sure.
so it's really interesting to see, how swimming has become such a well-rounded sport when it comes to dry land, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to confidence and sports psychology. I know you got a degree in sports psychology, so it's really cool to see all of these people that have become invested in our sport to help our age group swimmers, our collegiate swimmers, our national team members really be the best that they can be. Um, at what point did you realize that dryland training for swimmers kind of needed more structure than what was previously being done?
hmm honestly, probably like right when I started with that team, even before I knew, like right when I started, even when I didn't know a whole lot about the sport, I just remember talking to other coaches about their dryland
Yep.
programs and what they had and what and and it's no knock on the dryland programs that existed. So they didn't have any support. Nobody
Yeah.
was there to help them. Nobody was there to tell them what to do. Like you people sometimes people think it's offensive when people say, hey, a swim coach shouldn't be writing the dryland programming. Um, and that's it's it's not we don't mean it to be offensive at all. We mean it like you're a
Yeah.
expert at swim coaching and you have a full-time job not only running this organization but programming for your entire team from the 8 and unders all the way up to your senior national swimmers. it is a disservice to your team if you're also writing the programming, in our opinion. Of course, some people may
Yeah.
disagree with that. But to me, I have the mentality that if 50% of your effort is put towards dry land and 50 is towards swimming, well, then you're getting half as good a programming for each. It's still going to be good. You may have someone who's a genius at both, but still, if you're pulled in two different directions, and that doesn't even include all the administration or
Yeah.
the other, team travel planning or whatever,
No, our coaches are amazing.
yeah,
They
they're
do so
incredible.
much.
They're incredible. Like, and it's absolutely unfair the weight that gets put on their shoulders from mostly parents thinking, well, can you help my kid with nutrition? Can you help my kid with
Yeah.
their injury? Can you help my kid with their mentality? Can you help my kid with their confidence? And it's like, I can try and be
Yeah.
all things to all people, but you realize that every single one of those things I just mentioned is what somebody else does full time for a career. So to ask a swim coach to be full time professional at multiple things to me is crazy. And so that's why we do what we do and why I've had a passion for this for so long because our focus is let's take the weight off of swim coaches' shoulders of having to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And we have a sports nutritionist, we have a confidence coach, and I love doing the mental skills training side of things too. We have a leadership and character development program. We have a parent education program, an athlete education program, a coach education program. We have a doctor of physical therapy who has four swim athletes of her own and knows the sport inside and out. We have professional people who can design all of these aspects of the program and give you resources so that you don't have to try and be an expert at 20
Yeah.
different things, but you can actually have a collective of people supporting you so that you can just do what you do best at the highest level possible. We'll do what we do best and support you and complement what
Hmm.
you're trying to accomplish. And so I do think it is so just it's worthy of respect when
Yeah.
coaches are trying to make the dry land and do the swimming and help with nutrition. But I don't think it's the best formula for success for the athletes or the coaches. And so um, that's why we do what we do. And so in terms of bringing it back to your question, like I saw that need right away. I was like, this is crazy. Coaches can't be all these things. Like I went to school for this specific thing
Yeah.
and I'm still learning and trying to be the best that I can be. And this coach who is trying to run this swim team is being asked to do this plus 10 other things. I just thought that was crazy and unsustainable. And if you really
Yeah.
want your athletes to be the best they can be, like we need a better system than this. Like I thought it was crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy how much we ask, especially our age group coaches to do. It's crazy how much we ask our college coaches to do, like all
Yep.
coaches. But to
Yep.
me, especially, like you see that need directly with our age group coaches because not only are they managing like their swimmers, but they don't necessarily have all of the resources that a lot of our college programs do.
Hmm.
So, like, you have one coach, hopefully two or three, that are managing one group of, say, anywhere from like 40 to 100 athletes. All of those athletes swim different events. They're going to meet every other weekend, on top of, again, as you said, trying to manage the administration. So, I know parents have a lot of questions, as they should. They should get answers to those questions, but this coach
Hmm.
doesn't have time to
Right.
answer, 100 questions after practice or, look at their email inbox. I know my coach didn't have a phone for the longest time. I don't know if that's true or if he just told us that he didn't have a phone because he didn't want to have a phone.
It's a good strategy.
And I was like, okay, I understand now that I'm older.
That's funny.
But it's incredible, as I said, seeing all of these, resources kind of come forward to help our community as a whole. And one thing I really want to touch on also is that sports psychology aspect because swimming is a very tough sport. I mean,
Hmm.
all sports are tough. I'm biased because I swim. I think swimming is extremely tough, not only on your body, but also on, your mind. You're going through so many emotions. You have so
Yeah.
many races within one weekend that a lot of people don't realize. An age group swimmer may be swimming 6 events, times that by two if they have finals, 12 events over the course of a 3 or 4 day meet.
Mm.
You have to constantly reset. So, how does your sports psychology background kind of help you manage the mental side of sport when you approach training?
It's a great question and so important. It obviously the sports psychology side is important for every sport, but I do believe what you said, and I didn't swim growing up, but this is the hardest sport on the planet, in my opinion, because of not only the rigor of the training, but also of the monotony, like the
Yeah.
repetitive nature of swimming. You stare at a black line going back and forth over and over and over again every single day for thousands and thousands of yards. Like that is intense and like mentally and physically. And so I my respect level for swimmers just is through the roof. I think it's the hardest sport. So in terms of like the mental side of that, being able to endure the monotony and be able to still stay in love with what you're doing is super important. So that sports psychology background, like a big part of what I focus on is how do you help people stay in love with what they're doing? Because if you
Yeah.
don't love it, you're not going to be as great at it as you could be. And I just think you shouldn't spend so much time on something if you don't love it. It's
Yeah.
like so much investment as a swim athlete. Like there's not many swim athletes who do it half-heartedly, and so it just takes up so much time. And if
Yeah.
you are going to put that much time and effort to something, you better love it. And so that's a huge part of it because it's easy not to love it if it's all results based or you compare yourself to others, and that's really easy to do with social media nowadays, which
Yeah.
by the way, it's just like so most a lot of social media is just such garbage. You should never compare yourself to other people or believe, exactly what you're seeing. Like there's some legitimate resources out there and people who are transparent with the way they're living, but most people are putting their best foot forward and you're getting the most fake image of them possible. and
Yeah.
and then kids will compare themselves to those people. And so that's another part of the sports psychology piece is how do we fight comparison, that trap which just steals joy? How do we fight not being present
Hmm.
in the moment and just meeting yourself where you're at?
Yeah.
Um, and then how do you give yourself grace? A lot of people are in, especially in swimming, it seems like swimmers are so hypercritical of themselves. Like
Yeah.
one of the if I could just tell every swimmer in the world, like, hey, just give yourself some grace. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy for, like, I bet you could go up to your teammate and be like, it's okay. You have another race. It'll be fine. And you totally believe that. But then you have a crappy race and they say that to you and you're like, whatever.
Don't say that to me.
Yeah, don't say it to me. That was awful. I'm horrible. I shouldn't even be in this sport.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, that's a big part of it. And then swimming is such a high failure rate sport, too, that
Yeah.
if you don't have a strong mindset, like, you're never going to make it. Um, you're especially when you get older, later in high school, college, you're swimming at national levels or on the international levels. I mean, you might not drop time for years sometimes. It just
Yeah.
depends. And you have to be okay with that and still believe that the work that you're putting in will pay off at some point, even if you're not seeing it right now. Like you cannot lose the excitement and the love you have for swimming, even when you don't see the results when you hoped that you would see them, because that is, if you want to swim at high levels, at least, because
Yeah.
that is what 95% of people, that's why they're not successful in this sport, is because they get discouraged when they don't see the results they want. And they're like, well, I guess all the work's not really worth it. Let me switch something up, or I'm just not going to try as hard this time because it wasn't worth it. I don't want to feel like a failure. I don't want to put in all this work just to see myself add time.
Yeah.
Um, so only if you're able to see swimming from a big picture perspective, understand how this sport works, not ride the highs and ride the lows, but just love the sport and keep investing in yourself and believing that the process is the focus, not the outcome, then the outcome will happen. And it's so easy to talk about, so hard to actually do.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's the thing that holds most people back from success is they just want something right now because that's how most things work in our world nowadays. And but that's not how real, genuine success comes in sport. So anyway, the sports psychology piece of that helps address all those things on top of just confidence. We have an amazing confidence coach, Kristen, who's world class and has worked with some of the best athletes in the world and genuinely cares about people too. And she makes amazing resources for us. And we want swimmers to stand behind the blocks, knowing that they have done everything they could to be prepared for the meet from a practical perspective. And we also mentally want them to be confident and know that whatever time the scoreboard says when their hand hits the wall has absolutely nothing to do with their value as a
Yeah.
person. And so, but that is so complex. And
It
so,
is. Yeah.
making that practical day to day training your mind to help you get there is something I'm passionate about. So I don't know if that answers the question
No, it
specifically,
does.
but
It does. I mean, if I could go back in time to, when I was swimming, I wish I could just like shake myself and say, like you're gonna be okay. Like no
mhm,
matter what happens, like within this sport, like you're going to be okay. And swimming is such a an interesting sport because most of us do kind of leave the sport within an instant. It's like you touch the wall and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, that might be the last time I was ever, in the water. And unless you win like an Olympic gold, most of the times you go out feeling as though you haven't necessarily accomplished all that you wanted to accomplish in the sport. And
mhm,
so it took me a long time post swimming to look back at my swimming career and be like, I was successful. Just the times are the times. I don't remember the times, but you remember those swim meets. You remember those hard practices. You remember the challenges you overcome. You remember dropping time after not dropping for, as you said, like a period of long time, but
mhm.
realizing that the journey was happening all along, even through those moments of, the highs and also the lows. And
Yeah.
it is such a monotonous sport, especially, coming from a distance perspective. Being present was so difficult for, 16 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes where you're just going back and forth. And
hmm
so just, kind of cutting out those distractions and being present is such a difficult task, especially for, our age group swimmers. And, even when I was in college, it was difficult because you have so much outside noise kind
hmm
of coming at you at once, especially as you touched
Yeah.
on with social media, that being able to calm your mind is such a skill. And so, I spoke with Kristen on a previous podcast and she was
It's amazing.
amazing. And, some of the things that she said I took into, my day-to-day life because it was stuff that like I continuously need to work on, even if it's not correlated necessarily to a sport anymore, but it's caring about, these athletes more so than just swimming. It's caring about the
Yeah.
person that is also swimming.
Yeah. That's so good. And when you're talking about the process of, or I guess first of all, the standard you judge yourself by, like, yeah, like that desire, if someone wants to win an Olympic gold and you don't get that by
Yeah,
the time your career ends, like, oh, well, I guess, I wasn't really, I didn't
that
accomplish
wasn't
what I wanted. I
good.
wasn't that good. It's like, holy cow, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like for you personally, you're a Division 1 Power 5
Yeah.
swimmer, like who did amazing things, and 1% or less of the world can say anything like that who even participated in the sport. And even if you never swim in college, it's like the things that you learn along the way prepare you for things in life you don't will never fully realize if
Yeah.
you stay invested and give yourself a chance to be the best you can be. And if you do that, you'll look back and know you did everything you could because that's honestly that's how I like fell in love with coaching, or what prepared me to be great in coaching was I was a very average athlete. I had to work my butt off for everything, like
Yeah.
everything. I had very little natural skill, and so like I never ever took anything for granted,
Yeah.
um and still I never was good enough in my sport to be like a high level D1 athlete, and tennis was my main sport in high school, um, and I wanted to go to a big school, so I couldn't play my sport in college, and high school was the end of it, and I was proud of what I did, but I was never like as good as so many people who are way more talented. But looking back, like that mindset and never giving up and not being discouraged by where I was compared to other people, it prepared me for something I was even more passionate about, which was coaching. And I have that exact same mentality in coaching. And so whether you're the person who, barely makes a state meet and you finish, on your high school sectional team, maybe, and that's the highest level you achieve and you're done with the sport, but you worked your butt off to get there, you're going to be set up so well
Yeah.
for so many things in life because you didn't give up. And it sounds so cheesy, like when you hear it, but I'm telling you, like that mindset I gained from sport changed my life. And you will eventually, if you have that mindset, you'll eventually find something that you are really gifted in and you'll be incredible at it. So if you love something and you're willing to work hard at it, like eventually you'll find something that you're gifted in too, and that will transfer to that. So So I think that the value is significant no matter where you end up, like results wise, just
Hmm.
giving your best to the sport. But because yeah, it's so much bigger than the times.
It
And
is.
so yeah.
No, I don't know who coined the quote, but it's you only fail if you don't try, or
Mhm.
like you're successful like as long as you just keep getting back up. If it's something that you truly care about and something that you truly want, like it will come to you. I'm a strong believer that like everything happens for a reason. So every
Mhm.
setback that you face, every success that you have, like it's all setting you up for what your future is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that for sure. It how you frame and that's mental skills too, right? Like that's the sports psychology, how you frame everything that happens to you. You can't control what happens to you, but you can certainly control how you respond to it and if you
Yeah.
learn from it and grow from it or not. And so that mindset piece translates to life. And
Yeah.
so if you're not good at respond when things don't go your way, which will happen all the
Yes.
time, if you're
Daily.
not ready for that, then you're gonna feel like the world has shortchanged you and people are out to get you or oh why me? Like you're gonna have just such a victim mentality. And I just think um, that it just pays such dividends to invest in your mindset now so
Yeah.
that you're set up well for the rest of your life. But yeah, people don't a lot of people really overlook the mindset thing. I think it's
Mhm.
getting more well known how important it is, but for the longest time, like the only mindset work I saw on the pool deck was like, oh, we do visualization like a
Visualization, yeah.
couple days. Yeah. I'm like, that's great. Like I love visualization, but like if you just visualize like the week before a meet, you're not going to be very good at it. Two, the
Yeah.
impact is going to be pretty minimal compared to if you do it consistently. It is funny to me that like we even as coaches or athletes, we nobody would say, "Hey, I didn't train all year, but there's a swim meet coming up, and I'm gonna train
And
real
I'm gonna
hard
do
this
it.
week, and I'm gonna go fast next week." Or I ate like garbage all year and didn't sleep well, but this week I'm gonna get good sleep and I'm gonna eat well
Yeah.
and expect to perform well. Like nobody thinks that's logical. But from the mental perspective, nobody trains mental skills all year long. And then we get to a big meet a couple of weeks before and we start training. I'm like, what do you think that's going to do for you? Like, you don't have any type of foundation. Like, it's going to be extremely minimal, if anything. Or if
Yeah.
something else, it might actually hurt you because you don't have any experience with it and it actually like messes with your mind. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I just think it's funny how wrong the view of like mental skills training and sports psychology still is, but I think it's
Yeah.
getting better, but it's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, no, it definitely has a long way to go. I mean, it's funny that you bring up visualization because I mean, we were the exact same way. They're like, lay in your bed before you fall asleep at night, just visualize your race, like every lap of it. And I was like, great, 16 minutes of lying on my back, just going back and forth. Um, but I mean, your mind is a muscle. I mean, just like
Yep.
what you work out when you swim, like you have to train it and you have to be diligent with it. It can't be, as you said, like, okay, like New Year's resolution, I'm going to do it for a week or
Hmm.
taper starting, so we need to fill an extra 30 minutes on the pool deck. Like, let's just have them. Like, it is something that needs to be incorporated daily, but it's also, swimming and having individual swimmers, like, we have to take ownership of it
Yeah.
ourselves. And so, I mean, I'm always biased. Like, swimmers are some of the best people, I think, because of how diligent we are with wanting to get better in
Yep.
every aspect. And I mean, SwimStrong Dryland, you can tell that it's the same way. I mean, it's not only Dryland, you have a nutritionist on staff. You said you have physical therapist on staff. You have, Kristen that does work with, all of your teams and organizations. So it's really cool to see not only like the growth within swimming as a whole, but also the growth within your company to address all of those specific needs that help our age group swimmers, our college swimmers, our national team athletes kind of get better because we are chasing hundredths of a second, even in a 16-minute
Yeah.
race, like you're constantly
Hmm.
chasing hundredths of a second to make the cut, to make the team, to get your goal time. So
Yeah,
all of those elements are only helping as a whole with the bigger
for sure.
picture.
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's definitely it's what we aim to do is be able to just provide for the athletes who really want to be the best that they can possibly be, give them every opportunity to have world-class resources and education and coaching so that they can get there, whether they're the national team athlete and Olympian or they're the 8-year-old who has dreams of like making their age group champs and wants to just take the next step. And so It is a privilege to get to work with people like that. Like swim athletes inspire the heck out of me. Like they are some of the most inspiring people, hardworking people in the world. And as much as we hope to inspire and impact them, genuinely the impact that they have on us is just as significant, if not more.
Yeah.
So it continues to fuel our fire.
Yeah. If a parent or swimmer kind of just came up to you out of the blue at a swim meet and asked, what is SwimStrong Dryland really about? How would you answer that question?
Oh man, that's such a loaded question.
It is.
And no, it's a great one. I say it's loaded just because there's so much that we do, and the heartbeat of what we do is make an impact on people. If if I could say like if there was two like things that um we hope to happen by the time you're done with Swim Strong Dryland and swimming whenever that is, one is that you would be a high character person who is prepared for all of life to be great in school, in your career path, with your family, with your community, like someone who's genuinely going to make an impact on the world because you were impacted. Um, in a really positive way. So that life impact would be like the number one like heartbeat. And then like 1B like is we want you to achieve whatever your wildest dream goals are in the sport of swimming. And so our job is to obviously the main part of that comes in the water with your swim coaches. Our job is to be the X factor, give you that extra 15% or whatever it is with all the dry land mindset, nutrition, recovery work, leadership work, all those different things. Um, so we're very high on the performance aspect, but also the character aspect. So
Yeah.
what we're all about is like a tie between like super high character development and super high performance development so that you can achieve your wildest goals in the pool, and then when you're done swimming that you can achieve your wildest goals in life and make an impact. So that's the best like nutshell I think I could wrap it up in if someone asked like the heartbeat, so to speak, or what we're really about.
Yeah. No, I'd also kind of like to touch on all the events that kind of have
Sure.
conspired over, the past year. Like not only do you have, dryland programs for, college teams and individual athletes and club teams, but you also have a national championship. Like you do clinics, you have so many different resources out there, whether it's on YouTube or directly on your website. But from an outsider perspective, like seeing all of the content that came from that national championship was absolutely amazing. And I think exactly what, age group swimming and swimming as a whole needs. It's
Thank you.
something that's exciting. I mean, every swim was kind of electric. Like you had this whole full circle performance for these age group swimmers. And I know that it means the absolute world to them. To me, when I was an age group swimmer, if I got to do a walkout song, talking about it for 5 years. Like I could tell you my walkout song from like high school states.
What
And
was your
so,
walkout song?
oh, now you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I want to know.
Oh my gosh, now I actually forget the name of it. It was it was like an Eminem song.
Okay. Oh, that's a good
I
choice.
I loved music that had like a fast beat, something that motivated me. My brother doesn't listen to music even when he's in the car. Calling him out, find it a little bit weird, so don't ask him any music related questions.
That's hilarious.
But again, just from like a full circle moment, like seeing how much you care about these individual athletes, I know you have individual records as well. So you're constantly posting and following your athletes at each and every meet that they're at, which is insane because there's hundreds of meets that go on across the country with how many, athletes that you work with. Um, I don't even know if there's a question that comes with it, but more so just, a kudos and an awe factor from an outside perspective looking
That
at
means a
that
lot.
event and what you're doing with it. Also moving forward, because, that was the first one,
That
which
means a
is
lot.
insane.
Thanks. Yeah, it does mean a lot coming from you. And you the way that you phrase it is what we were hoping for, like to create something in swimming that this is something I do feel like was helpful for me, like from before I started Dryland 15 years ago, like coming from different sports where the hype was just so different.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like I love big events, big atmospheres, like high stakes moments, and just where you will have memories that last forever. And it should be fun. Like it should be so
Yeah.
much fun. And the one thing I didn't mention in the story of when SwimStrong started about going to my first swim meet and um was how like just not energetic it was. Saying this I love the sport and the competition and the inner
Yeah.
fire and all the every detail that matters. But even I went to my first, well, I won't say the name of the meet, but just different national meets, and I was like, this is the national meet? What is
Yeah.
this is one of the best meets in the country for 18 and unders, and this we don't even have walkout songs. Like I was like,
Yeah.
this is wild. Like I mean, we bring our own hype, but I was like, why can't we have like a light show? Why can't we have a
Yeah.
DJ? Why can't we have a production crew? Why can't we have videographers out here making awesome content? Why can't we do live interviews? Why can't we do fan giveaways and like just fun things with the fans so the parents in the stands aren't watching their kids swim for 1 minute and then they
Mhm.
wait 2 hours until their next event and then they see them swim for 30 seconds and then that's the end of their experience. And
Yeah.
it's like that's not really fun for parents either. I mean, they
Yeah.
love watching their kids swim, but it should be an event and it should be special for the kids while they're swimming, while their teammates are swimming. And so we wanted to create like a football like atmosphere at our championship meet. And yeah, this will be year 2 coming up of the meet,
Yeah.
and we have even bigger and better plans. But we had all those things that I just mentioned and more. And for the coaches, we had like I've been to national meets where the food was just garbage. Like the hospitality was like bowls of finger food, like not even real meals. And I was like, these
Yeah.
coaches work their butts off too, and you're traveling across the country and like you can't even eat anything but like snacks or like garbage food. And so our nutritionist has found sponsors from the area of really high quality nutritious and good tasting restaurants that sponsor every single one of our hospitality meals so that coaches can eat well,
Yeah.
parents can have the time of their life in the stands, and kids can have lifetime memories with their teammates, but also swim fast because when you're having fun and you're not just in this dull environment where all you're thinking about is your time and what you're about to do and in your own head, you can just have fun and
Yeah.
like perform and do race in the same way why you started swimming in the first place because you
Yeah.
just liked racing and being with your friends and having a good time like
Yeah.
and being competitive. Like I know it's slightly different for each person, but nobody did this because they hated it. Nobody did this because they didn't want to have fun. So um anyway, like that in our elite camp we have like we want to and the clinics that we do, we just want to bring a ton of opportunities for whether it's athletes, parents, coaches to see things from a different perspective and be positively impacted from a performance standpoint and from a life standpoint. So yeah, we hope to just continue to make things better and better um, for us, it's just always how can we give people the best experience. So I do know that there's more people trying to do stuff like that now, which is exciting, and I hope we can continue to inspire that because our sport needs it. I think that should be the standard championship swim meet. Like I don't think what we did should have been
All
so
of
crazy. It should have
yeah.
been like this is what national meets look like. This is what
Yeah.
high level swim meets look like. Like it should just be the standard. No one goes to an NFL game and expects like there not to be a huge light show and introductions and super hype music and the whole stadium's rocking. Like if there's a reason why people show up to those events, right? Because they
Yeah.
know that's the standard. And swimming standard is if you have a meet and officials and a
You're good.
timer, like you're good. Just like
Yeah.
and so that just never made sense to me. So hopefully we can keep changing that in significant ways. But I appreciate the kind words, and I know that Iska is doing things like that too now, and really like putting on some just awesome, memorable meets and events, and some really cool things that I don't know if I'm allowed to say on here, so I won't. But just things that y'all are doing that are just really special ideas and things that are just going to make a huge impact on age group swimming and every level up all the way through college and pro, whatever level you end up swimming at.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate the unique ideas and passion that you and the organization bring to the sport too.
No, I appreciate that and all of the kind words you said. I mean, as we've kind of discussed swimming as a whole, it is very boring. Like you're staring
Mhm.
at a line and then you
Yep.
have people watching you stare at a line. And
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I mean, that's at the end of the day, if you want to break swimming into a nutshell, that's what it is. Like, just get
Mhm.
across the pool, stare at the bottom,
Yep.
or up at the clouds if you're doing backstroke. But a way to make it engaging for fans, because that's what we desperately need. Like, we need fans of the sport. We need
Hmm.
people who want to continuously come back. I mean, make it an experience for the swimmers, the coaches, and the parents, because the
Hmm.
parents are the ones that are ultimately sacrificing. I don't want to say sacrificing, but they're using their time to, show up to watch their kid for a
Yep.
minute. So why
Yep.
not make it an experience that they want to continuously come back to? And
Yeah.
also, as I said, just give the swimmers the recognition that they deserve for where they're at because everyone's at a different point in their life. They have different things going on outside of the sport, inside of the sport. And so, like, as a community, if we're just more aware and acknowledge our athletes more, I think we'd go a lot further and have a lot less kind of burnout rate within the sport as a whole.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's something I hope just becomes more normal, not like this. We were joking like with like leading up to that meet that like I don't know. We want everything to be perfect. We want everything to be
Yeah.
absolutely amazing in the way that we dreamt about it. And someone told me, I won't forget it because I just thought it was so funny. They're like, you realize that the bar is so low in swimming that even if like a quarter of what you hoped for happens, it'll be like the coolest meet that's ever happened. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, I'm not going off of what the bar is, but you are
Yeah.
right. That does like lessen the stress a little bit because the bar is so low. So we're hoping to like really
Continuously
elevate
raise
that
it.
bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I and parents, yeah, for sure. Like it, why do we not think about parents and their experience? They are the audience, and that not only are they investing their time, they're investing their money. How much money they
Yeah.
put into these, just like one racing suit is an insane amount of money.
$500.
And
Yeah. I didn't realize that when I was younger. I was like, Mom, I need three of them, one in every color. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Didn't
Yeah,
realize.
it's so funny, but it's true. And the travel to a meet is probably thousands of dollars
Yeah.
because you got your flights, you got your hotels and all the food and they're taking time off of their job a lot of times if they can't work virtually. So, we do all this stuff without even thinking about parent experience. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. They're in the stands. They get the kids. And like it does matter.
Yeah.
Like it really matters. Like that the parents and the kids are having the time of their life, and the coaches who invest so much in the kids and the families all year. So, um, I yeah. Anyway, I agree with you.
Yeah. Just one last question for you, because I know I could, go on for hours about, this sport and all that, we're doing and you're
Me too.
doing. Looking back at what SwimStrong Dryland has become and ahead to what's next, what do you hope swimmers and families take away from the experience and what excites you most about the future?
What I hope that people take away from the experience is that they were truly cared for, like from at least from our staff perspective, they were truly genuinely loved and cared for in a way that went way beyond swimming.
Yeah.
Um, if they, in my opinion, if they don't experience that, then we've really failed at our job. Um, and I want them to walk away also being inspired, realizing that they can do some things that other people think are impossible simply by being really consistent with a lot of really small things.
Hmm.
And I think those things translate to all of life and will help them be successful in whatever they do. So if they walk away impacted in the way that they view the world and view like what's possible, and they walk away knowing that they're loved, valued, and cared for, and that their value is so much deeper than whatever results are in the
Yeah.
pool, then that'll carry over to work too and other parts of life where so much of our culture is performance oriented, which I mean, everything ultimately, like people, you can you can have these values, but if you don't get results, like people aren't going to
Yeah.
want to work with you, right? So you have to have both. I get that for sure. Um, but sometimes it's only about performance, and you're not as valuable as this person if you don't bring in,
Hmm.
you know, these results for the team, or you work with a company, you don't bring in as much money as this person brings in, and so you're lesser. And people talk to people differently based on
Yeah.
like their value, which is just based on results. I'm like, that's just crazy. So if people can leave the program understanding that their value has zero to do with that and everything to do with who they actually are as a whole person, that's like priceless. There's nothing more special than seeing like people fully realize like how valuable they really are and what they have to offer the world. And so and my favorite memories of like all time with doing this have nothing to do with the sport. It has to do with being in weddings of people that I've coached and being in the at the hardest moments in people's lives
Yeah.
too, when they lose a loved one and being there for them in that like horrible scenario, like just the highest highs and the lowest lows, being able to be a part of someone's life in those ways. Those are the things that actually matter. So
Yeah.
that's what I'd say the first part of the question, and then the second part of what we want to see happen in the future? Was that
Yeah.
the
What
question?
excites you most about the future?
Oh, what excites me most? Um, Man, how do I say this in a way that doesn't go on forever? I think I mean, we just actually had like kind of a vision casting meeting with our staff at the beginning of the year. We always take stock at the beginning of each year and like,
Mhm.
are we on track for the things that we want to see happen with this company and with the people that we have the privilege of working with, and what's our dream for the next year and then next Olympics and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're excited to see swimmers continue to do things that people think aren't possible.
Hmm.
We're excited to see people achieving some of their wildest dream goals um, that will just shock the world. And so from a performance standpoint, we're excited for that. Um, and that means something different for everybody. For some people, it's they want to break a world record or win a gold
Yeah.
medal, and for some people, they want to swim on their high school state team for the first time because they weren't necessarily a gifted athlete, but they work really hard. Like there's everywhere and everywhere in between that. And so that excites us from the performance standpoint. But what excites me from like the for the future for the company as a whole is just hopefully the opportunity to really just leave an imprint on the sport and on the swimming community that sets a standard in a lot of different areas that elevates everybody, like just continues to raise the bar so that our kids, our parents, and our coaches are treated with the utmost respect and have the best resources and can, just thrive in this amazing community. But there's a lot of different ways in which you can raise the bar and set the standard higher. And so in whatever way we can do that and serve the sport, like we're excited about doing that as a company. So that's the short answer.
That's the short. No, I just again wanted to take a minute to thank you for, setting aside the time to speak with me today. I know swimmers, athletes, coaches, parents, they're going to get a lot out of this conversation. And also just, a thank you from, a former athlete who might not have had like all of these resources for what you're doing for our community, whether it's dryland nutrition, but also just mentoring these young athletes because at the end of the day, I think sometimes we do forget that that's an 8-year-old, right? Like they just
Hmm.
want to have fun.
Yep.
Like this is a 12-year-old. Like they
Yep.
just took maybe a standardized test for the first time. Like this one's 15, like they're going on their first date. And so,
Hmm.
you know, like these are, swimmers, yes, athletes, yes, but, mentoring these, kids that are going to be our future generation in such a positive light is, something that I wanted to thank you for doing.
I appreciate that. It really means a lot. It's been really fun talking with you, and I appreciate everything you're doing, as I said before. And I think that your heartbeat is super cool for this sport, for people like genuine, caring human being that just wants to see the sport move forward and is shining a light on all kinds of awesome things happening in the swim community. And so I just love your heart and your mindset and everything that you're doing on a practical level too for this sport, and it's very impactful and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode just as much as I did. It's always so much fun connecting with other individuals who have such a strong passion for the sport and are really working to move the sport forward, not only on a performance level, but again, that holistic level as well. As always, a big shout out to the International Swim Coaches Association and Swimming World Magazine. Without their help, this podcast would not be possible. I highly recommend going to check out SwimStrong Dryland. I'm going to put their website here and also a link to their website and all of their social media platforms below. Again, they are doing amazing and incredible things, so highly recommend giving them a follow. If you like this conversation, please share it, with coaches, with your swim family. I'm going to put all of our social media handles here and also link them in the description below. So with that, I'll catch you guys next time.